Agree or disagree, string trimming sucks. That's why I do everything in my power to avoid it. Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. And yes, I hate string trimming and I try to do everything I can to do as little of it as possible. And as you can see, a lot of that entails going around the property. Anywhere that I can't mow with the zero-turn mower, I typically spray once or twice a year with some Roundup. Now, agree or disagree on whether Roundup is good for you or good for your property or whatever. That's completely up to you. I'm not telling you that you should go around and spray. That's just what I do. I hate string trimming that much. But there is one exception, and that is around the pond here. Normally, once or twice a year, I'll come in here and clean up the pond edges that I can't get with the mower because, as you guys all know, zero turns are notorious for finding their way into ponds. So I've got a different workaround here though, rather than the string trimmer, and it's going to include an air-conditioned cab. So this is our Baumalight MX330 flail mulcher that mounts on the end of your excavator, and it's going to turn this probably hour-long job of cleaning up all the brush around the edges of the pond from an hour-long job that's going to be sweaty and covered in grass clippings to probably a 20-minute job inside an air-conditioned cab. Now, for those of you guys looking for pond updates, I'll give you a quick one here. The last one I mentioned that the pond was down about 2 feet, and that was probably a week or two ago. And it definitely seems as though the pond has slowed down. I don't think we've lost really more than another inch or two of water in the last week. So that leads me to believe that our problem is somewhere up along this upper edge here. But anyway, that's your quick pond update. Let's go ahead and get to cleaning up this edge. Even though the pond is not full and it's still leaking, I still want to clean up the edges and have it look as good as it can for a 3/4 full pond. Well, that looks a lot better than it did 20 minutes ago. Obviously look a lot better with another 2 feet of water in it, but what are you going to do? But now we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing down at pond number 2. It's just one of those things that's tough to get away from with a pond. You're always going to have that water's edge that tapers down into the water that's too steep for a mower. I mean, you could come in here with weed fabric and put some riprap on there like what Kyle from Spicer Designs did, or Neil at Dig Drive DIY, but that adds some additional cost. And yeah, it does keep up with some maintenance costs later on down the road, but with that flail mulcher that we have on the excavator, we'll get this whip back into shape and looking good here in about another 20 minutes. All right, pond number 2 is all done, and that looks so much better. Really does a good job of cleaning up pond edges. If you guys can't tell by now, I have an aversion to manual labor, and we've already talked about how I hate string trimming. I've got one more thing I hate doing that we're going to replace with hydraulics, and that is pulling weeds. Speaking of making difficult tasks easy, I want to take a minute to talk about today's sponsor, Incogni. Now, if you're anything like me, your cell phone and your email address have been completely overrun with spam. And how that happens is anytime you sign up for a credit card or your favorite store's loyalty program or anything like that, and you put in your email address, home address, your cell phone number, any of that information, most of the time those companies are then selling your personal private information to data brokers, who then go out and sell all that information to any advertiser out there that's willing to buy it. And the problem is there are hundreds of these data brokers out there. Now, the good news is we are legally allowed to request that our information be removed from these lists that these data brokers have. The bad news is it is very time consuming to reach out to every single data broker because there are hundreds of them out there. And in keeping with today's theme of taking difficult tasks and making them easy, that is where Incogni comes in. They are a data privacy tool. They will reach out to all of these data brokers on your behalf. All it takes is 5 minutes to sign up and give them permission to act as an agent for you, and they will reach out to all of these brokers and request that your information be taken down. And one thing that I've noticed is even if you were to request these data brokers to take your information down by yourself, some of them don't respond or don't react with the first request, and Incogni just keeps hounding them. It's almost like releasing the hounds on the data brokers. They just keep sending request after request after request until they finally get fed up and take your information down. So that's why I enjoy Incogni, and I'm so glad that a data privacy tool like Incogni exists. The other thing I like is the dashboard shows you exactly how many requests have been sent out and how much time they've saved you. Since signing up with Incogni 3 short months ago, they've sent out 269 requests on my behalf to remove my privacy, and it saved me roughly 159 hours worth of sitting on hold trying to get a hold of these data brokers to remove our information. If you're interested in having Incogni work for you to remove your private data from the internet, I will leave a link in the description below. Use code HOMETOWNACRES to get 60% off your first annual plan. So this is our beach area for the pond, and even though the pond is down 2 feet right now, we still have about 10 feet of water in there, so we can still use it for swimming this summer. But this beach area here has gotten completely overtaken with weeds, and you can imagine how long it would take to come in here and pull all of the grasses and weeds out of here. So we're going to use a little hydraulic power here. This is the WIFO power rake on the Baumalight mini skid, and we're going to come in here, chew all this stuff up, get all those weeds broken free, hopefully just bury them. And I know that if you don't pull them out by the root and remove them, they're going to come back. But with as quick as this is going to be, I don't mind coming in here once every 3 or 4 weeks and chewing this all up and flattening it back out and making the nice beach area nice and smooth. right, that only took about 10 minutes. We got all of our beach sand leveled back out and all the weeds are back out of it. Looks pretty nice. One thing I will say, if any of you guys have a pond or a lake house and you're thinking about putting in a beach, we made the mistake of getting play sand. And it looks really nice when it's dry and it's, perfect for, Anderson's little excavator up there. But when it gets wet, it's so fine that it almost turns into like a mud, which is not what we were going for. Because the whole reason for putting sand on the beach is so that it doesn't feel like mud as you're walking down into the pond. We don't want it to be squishy and kind of gross for people. So if you're gonna put in some kind of sand for a beach on a pond or a lake or something like that, I would recommend going with a coarser sand. Or another option would be to use pea gravel. I know Neil at Dig Drive DIY used a pea gravel, which is, very small little pebbles. And that way you just don't have any of that muddy issue down around the water's edge. And I think in pea gravel, weeds are a lot less likely to grow. I think they could still take root, but this stuff here grows weeds like crazy, as you saw. But we got our whole water's edge around the pond here cleaned up in about 20 minutes. Pond number 2, same thing, 20 minutes. And this took about 10 minutes. So in less than an hour's total time of machine run time, we've got this pond shaped back up and looking good, and we're just about ready to get to the swimming season here. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna about wrap this one up. I know I'm gonna get comments down below that I must be the laziest person alive, but anytime I can use equipment and machinery to turn a 3 to 4 hour job into a 1 hour job, I'm gonna take it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.